BioShock's rapture is extremely unsettling, enough that it'll sometimes make you wonder why you're voluntarily confronting it. However, at the same time, it's beautiful in a hopeless kind of way. It pulls you in through its dynamic systems that fully immerse you. I've never experienced a world that felt so organic and authentic. I remember hearing all about BioShock from my best friend growing up. However, it wasn't multiplayer, so we usually favoured playing Halo 2 or the new Mario game at the time. This meant that I never actually got to play it. I knew that one day I needed to experience the series, and the right time came when Steam put the BioShock collection on deep sale in February of 2021. Although it wasn't the right time, because I didn't end up playing any of them until the making of this video. I just didn't have the right mindset when it came to playing single-player narrative-driven games until very recently. I'm so glad I've overcome this mental block and can now enjoy the classics I've missed out on, including BioShock. BioShock's opening is one of the most effective at conveying the tone and narrative of the world, whilst feeling completely organic. There's something about the submersible ride that's just so magical and horrifying at the same time. It gives me goosebumps watching it back.
I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone. I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose rapture.
You instantly feel so secluded, but with the feeling that you're not truly alone. Immersive sims, in games that just create a strong sense of immersion, are my favourite. Every system, sound, and piece of UI contributes to this immersion. It might sound silly, but for me, a good UI that fits the world goes a long way to achieving it. Games like Dishonored 2 do this extremely well, with the UI's sharp angles and gritty diegetic feel. BioShock, which Dishonored is clearly inspired by, also pulls this off through its dark and industrial 60s inspired UI elements. This introduction was so refreshing. No invasive tutorials, no immersion-breaking exposition, no long, linear and painfully scripted sections, just a well-crafted and original intro that hooks you straight away. Right from the jump, you have a man's voice in your ear, directing you and keeping you safe from Rapture's dangers. It's not clear why he's helping you, or what your ultimate objective will be for a while, but it keeps you interested and wondering what you're doing there and what's going on around you. Even though this is an older game, I don't want to go into spoilers. However, your objective becomes finding the person responsible for Rapture's descent into madness. While I think BioShock has a decent narrative, I often felt like I was just running around doing objectives that I wasn't sure the protagonist really needed to care about. Without spoiling it, this is kind of explained later, so overall the narrative was solid. Despite this, I found the environmental storytelling to be exceptional, and it left me with a much stronger lasting impression. The environmental design is some of the best I've ever experienced. It allows you to almost make up your own version of what happened in each area, which is exactly what every environmental designer wants to achieve. The entire time I was playing, I was just so dumbfounded that I'd never played any BioShock title before, since this is exactly what I look for in a video game. As you progress through the game, you gradually unlock more and more tools, abilities, and weapons to keep you alive as you wander the halls of Rapture. The amount of variability and ways you can change your loadout to your playstyle was surprising to me, especially from a game from 2007. The game gives a lot of freedom in this sense. While there may be a most efficient way to take down certain enemies, the game encourages you to experiment and see what fits your playstyle. There are 7 weapons to unlock, each with 3 different ammo types, and each weapon can be upgraded in 3 different ways. I thought that each enemy having a weakness to a specific ammo or weapon type kept you on your toes, constantly switching between weapons when a new enemy would surprise you. However, the game does show its age here, which I'm not holding against it, but you can definitely feel the clunky mid-2000s gunplay. There are 2 main enemy types in BioShock: the Splicers, humans who have started to mutate due to the effects of a drug called Adam, and Big Daddies, the iconic industrial deep-sea diving suit-wearing bad guys. There are also multiple different types of these enemies as well, keeping the gameplay varied, but not overwhelming and unbelievable. That last part might sound weird, saying that these enemies are believable, but to be honest, in the city that is Rapture and everything you learn as you progress through the game, these enemies make total sense, and fit in perfectly, just adding another layer of immersion. This is a bit of an aside, but once you finish the game, you unlock Museum Mode, which allows you to walk through a digital museum in-game, showing off the game's original concept art. which was amazing, but I got to see some of the concept art and basic models for some of the proposed other enemies. I'm really glad they chose the direction they did, as I can't imagine the game with any other enemies. I'm not a fan of horror games, and I know, this isn't a horror game, but the level of eeriness and creepiness had me constantly on edge the entire time I played. It gave me chills multiple times during my playthrough. While the visuals can be spooky and unsettling, the scariest parts of the game to me were whenever the audio would scare me, which was often.
Clean it up! Clean it up! I'm your best!
From heavy footsteps running behind you to the groans of the big daddies, every sound is designed to make your hair stand on end. With the game's dark and gritty feel, the implementation of the little sisters makes the world even more unnerving, as even the little children seem to be monsters of some sort. On a side note, I really appreciated the game allowing you to decide to save the little sisters if you wanted, explaining that your decision will have an effect on the world around you. This seemingly heavily influenced Dishonored and Dishonored 2's plague infestation mechanic, which I really liked. As I said in the beginning of the video, which you might be sick of hearing by now, immersive sims are my absolute favorite genre of games. And the main reason this is the case is due to the exploration they encourage and the level design that facilitates it. I've also mentioned Dishonored 2 a lot. This is because it's one of my favorite games, and also because I saw so many similar systems. I might be outing myself as a fake fan of immersive sims here, but this is the oldest one I've played. I haven't played the early Deus Ex or System Shock games yet, and so the comparisons between BioShock and Dishonored are the best I have. Slightly back on track now. Exploring the streets and buildings of Karnaca is always so intoxicating to me. The world feels so alive, and exploration always pays off, whether through hidden paths or bone charms, and the game is clearly begging you to explore. Totally back on track now. BioShock, whilst completely unsettling me, also really encouraged me to explore, find little hidden loot pockets, or audio recordings from characters. This world they built was so interesting to explore, I just couldn't wait to walk into the next area and see what it had to offer. I played on normal difficulty, which is usually what I do for this series, as it lets me experience the game while not getting too frustrated at the same time. I breezed through most of the game, having enough ammo and health packs to tackle most situations. Toward the end of the game, I did end up running out of resources a bit, which complicated things and where some of the balancing issues became apparent, but overall I didn't really get frustrated or stuck in one area for very long. This game really surprised me. It was right up my alley, but for some reason I never managed to play it before now. I just loved the world they built and the emotions they managed to invoke in me. There's something really special about the loneliness and how secluded you feel. Throughout the whole game, you never manage to see another non-Adam crazed person until the last act. This feeling of total seclusion from civilization, the mystery of the city, and the haunting levels that reward your exploration, all culminated to create an experience that totally engrossed me in rapture. Thank you so much for watching. I'm super excited to play BioShock 2 next, and eventually Infinite. I would love any feedback you have, as I'm really enjoying the process, and I would love it if you also enjoy the product. I hope some of you stick around for my next video. Until then, see ya!